So we have the Pilgrims in Plymouth, and we have the native Wampanoag tribe around them. So the question becomes, how are these two groups going to interact? And that is the question we're going to answer today. So the Wampanoag tribe, they live mostly on the Cape Cod and southeastern Massachusetts area. They are one of many tribes in New England, and before the Pilgrims arrived, it was a very densely populated area. So Wampanoags, they are mostly staying in one spot. Now they move between seasons to different spots, and many times most of the time, they depend on the three sisters, which is corn, beans, and squash. And these are the plants that they would plant together. They grow very well together. And they'd also supplement this food with fish and any deer or other small animals they could hunt. Since it was a pretty populated area in Massachusetts at the time with natives, land was strictly determined between tribes, and also resulted in conflicts between tribes. However, like most native populations, there was no ownership of land. Certainly they recognized use of land, but it wasn't that one tribe owned land or could give land to another tribe. It was seen as what gave them life, so it was not something that could be bought or sold. It was simply land. They had leaders, certainly leaders. They had what was known as a sachem. A sachem was the leader of the tribe. This is a statue of Massasoit, sachem of the Wampanoags, in especially the Plymouth area. There's also sachems that are women. It's mostly the people that had power or claims over land, and mostly that you had status and power. You could not be an effective sachem without the respect of your tribe. So mostly these are rather old and wise individuals. They have this idea that, oh, the Wampanoags they desire these beads, and that is what we're going to give them. Land similarly had that meaning, very special to the Wampanoag. It's where they are born, it's where they are raised, and it provided for them. The Wampanoag literally means the people of the first light. They saw themselves being on the coast, the east coast. They saw the sunrise every day, and they viewed themselves as the ones who greeted the world. So land was of great importance, and when the Pilgrims arrived, certainly much of the land had been left empty by diseases. It wasn't left empty because the Wampanoag didn't care about it. It was left empty because there was no people to populate it. So Pilgrims. When the Pilgrims come in, they have a number of important beliefs. If you look in this image, it's a painting of the first Thanksgiving. And one of the focal points, if you look, is the standing man. I'll give you 3 seconds to figure out what he's doing. If you thought prayer, then you're correct. God is the center of life for the Pilgrims. The reason they come to America in the first place is so that they have freedom to worship. It wasn't that they had such odd or strange beliefs, but they very much believed that they needed to have a very strict following of Christianity. They believed that the Bible was the most important text, and most elements of their lives could be derived from the Bible. So you have these very strict religious followers, and they want everyone to go to church. Church is mandated. The belief in corporal punishment for children. So beating children if they are misbehaving. It's a very, very strict interpretation of the Bible. And the Pilgrims saw that if they did not follow the Bible strictly enough, then they would be doomed. So they come into contact then, when they get here, with the Native Americans. The Pilgrims are understandably thankful for help from the Native Americans, but they also recognize that these Native Americans are not Christians, they are not followers of God. Pilgrim leaders, in fact, were nervous about any real interaction with the natives, as they thought it could corrupt certainly the very strong beliefs that they already had. So you have a lot of tension. This is one of the Pilgrim churches. It would have been one of the first buildings that they would have built. And when you have a group with very strong beliefs interacting with a group that they very much do not understand, and certainly are dependent on, but as the Pilgrims start to figure out how to farm, how to survive, then that relationship of dependence, where they very much need the Wampanoags to survive, it starts to shift. You start to have Wampanoag suddenly depending on the Pilgrims to help them out against other tribes, and this relationship, which initially had been one of mutual benefit, very much shifts to one where the Pilgrims are the ones who have much of the power.